Cooper Marcher here. Happy Catterday, everybody. When you're tiny, trapped in a storm drain and soaked to the skin, the world must seem like a very scary place. Maybe that's how this little kitten was feeling until one kind person rescued him and brought him to Greenside Animal Hospital in Johannesburg, South Africa. Staff didn't know anything about this little fellow's health, so they placed him in an isolation ward to give him a chance to rest and recover in peace. At only 8 to 10 weeks old, his world was now full of unfamiliar sights and sounds. This, of course, meant he was a little nervous whenever the staff provided care. Ginger was shy, but very loving and likes attention once he has overcome his initial fear of contact with the team who cares for him. He's a bit wary of people when they enter the isolation ward until he sees us bringing food, and then he's happy to creep out of his shell and interact. Ginger had the isolation ward to himself, except for a little dog named Anne, who was also quite scared. Like Ginger, Anne was brought to the hospital as a stray. The little black and tan dog was found hiding in a bush at a local sports club. One of the trainers at the sports club brought her in, and the hospital staff found that she was absolutely covered in fleas and ticks. She was very sick as a result. They immediately got to work healing her and placing her in an isolation ward where she could rest. Cats and dogs are generally kept in separate areas in the hospital, but the isolation ward is an exception. Anne and Ginger's cages were across the room from each other. Staffers were certain there was no way they could encounter each other. At least that's what they thought, until Ginger proved them wrong. But one day, employees walked into the ward and couldn't believe their eyes. Ginger's cage was empty, and they found the tiny orange kitten cuddled with Anne in her cage. We underestimated the kitten's ability to wiggle herself through the door of the cage he was placed in. With the little dog being so weak, we never considered her to be a risk to the kitten. But when we saw them together the first time, there was definitely a moment of panic, since some dogs don't react well to cats and vice versa. But their worries quickly dissolved when they saw how gently Anne treated Ginger. Quite obviously, there was a lot of love between this kitten and the dog as they kept each other calm. Even so, the staff tried to separate them. Ginger and Anne preferred each other's company. They wanted to stay together, and that's simply the way things were going to be. After initially discovering them together, we moved the kitten back into his cage as his litter box, food, and water were in there, but he immediately made his way out of the cage and back to his friend. Now Anne and Ginger get to share their crate, and they are much happier about it. Anne was very weak when she arrived at Greenside Hospital, and having Ginger there to comfort her helped her recover and gain strength. He's a little someone Anne could focus on and care for, and for Ginger, Anne provides a sense of calm and safety, something he rarely had before. It's amazing to witness such a great example of peace and comfort between different species in the animal world. We're inspired by this experience and hope for peace and healing. How amazing is it that two such different animals can establish such a beautiful friendship? These two beautiful babies are simply precious together, and this is a testimony about the power of love. Cooper Marcher here. Ciao.